for a little middle-class suburbanite life, and already so well-fed, he had to be C-sectioned into this ridiculously fortunate infancy, already blurring and turning innocently enough into a silly but chilly childhood. For as soon as one could, every breath was spent looking forward to those wrapping paper ripping minutes as to more already, hopelessly addicted. Can a spoiled brat get a fix? And having not yet graduated from single digits, already multi-faced, one of which, little neighborhood terrorist, yeah, just check out this little chunk of irony. This here was a bedwetter bully. By day, tiny tyrant at recess, by night, piddling those pajama pants. Poster child for insecurity, and despite two married and loving parents to suffer through tremendous privilege, he'd manage all week just dreading that 1 hour as it was the worst of it. Stand up, sit, kneel, stand, kneel, sit. We gotta say, how many hails? To Mary and hurry. Better beat the traffic just after yawning that same old song, always in the key of drone. And on his own, having asked for enough things, undelivered or just too slow, he decided nothing was there. Then, of Cobain and Reznor, a devout follower, playing drums would become just one of some idle forms of worship, but playing hooky began to stick. By grade 6, so set on convincing and being convinced of any sickness, soon worried sick someone would not take his lying to himself, so serious. And though those eyes were soon cried dry, the crippling depression he'd almost die trying to deny. And for about half a decade it was like this. House and hell-bound, bored, in so many ways blind. Meanwhile, as uprooting twice left the fruit of any friendships behind, he was left enslaved to the mastering, living life through something else, games after comics, anything for a more effective hypnotist or the next best mental escape hatch, always opting for the most graphic and not above raiding the wallets of immediate family members to feed these habits. Oh, and to hate high school, never got nor took the chance. Showing face for a week or two before slipping into the predictable backslide, down, 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 into almost solidified thoughts of suicide. And just in time to empathize with the events at Columbine, but in this fashion, thank God, he'd do nothing more than fantasize. And about now, Mom got a puppy. For the keeping her reclusive second son some sort of company, a cute and happy white Highland Terrier, terrified. Almost all day, every day, next to him, nothing scarier. Once routinely subjected to our bipolar basement boy's hellish self-pity because hurting himself was only the beginning. By now longing to feel something cutting. This here was the bottom, from where nowhere near looking up or even out. No thanks, help. But then came the life-saving stomach aches. Could hardly eat a thing without having to soon crap out some brains, and with this, the madness was brought into focus. Heck yes! Allergy test, and as the itching scratched all things tasty from the list, this taste of hell had for now passed, and for now, he'd live. Sort of. Got a car, a job, and senior year, but bring on the heartbreaking, all that porn ignited an already awkward virginity, burning a hole in his soul's pocket labeled by him lonely. Maybe music would attract that special someone, anyone, weird, sometimes funny guy here. Oh well. Forever over the worst of it. Or so he thought. College, for whatever reason, various warehouse jobs, and while still a freshman, got really into drugs. Pretty much anything short of meth, crack, or heroin, so determined he was in his soul searching and destroying, and it's a miracle he didn't land in prison. As sloppy as he was at dealing, briefly but long enough for give me everything you got, man! And somewhere in there, cleansed of the contracted gastrointestinal intolerances. And in light of this, and despite his doubt, he gave thanks to God. Yeah, the one he didn't even believe in. Meanwhile, learning a little something not so mainstream about 9/11, but reading a sort of self-help book for, well, helping oneself to women, much like confidence in a can. Now he was the one doing the heartbreaking, armed with poetry, The end of one 2-year, mostly long-distance waste of innocence marked the start of one too common conquest, becoming one with one woman after another. Number 4 led to 5, 6. And all this despite the marijuana-induced performance issues. Yeah, they don't tell you that smoking weed might lead to surgery. Oh, and how hesitant he was to believe. And yes, twice upon the parts of only a man's anatomy. Unfazed, still living for the weekend, about as relaxing as a car accident was, still crashing forward with no direction. It'd be a while yet till Mom's crash exposed much of himself to him, most concerned, consumed with sleeping around. So saith the doctors, unable to have kids, led to a miscarriage and a live-in girlfriend. Mom's got Lou Gehrig's and college coming to an end. Obama, what just happened? Where's that hope and change? Who are those men behind the curtain? Millions are starving, the world's ending. Who gives a flip about anyone's freaking lawn? And by now, imprisoned to the escaping, as she was seemingly the most effective means, and once again not above selling weed, this time to make ends meet, but growing more passionate for that towering mountain of conspiracies? What is there to do? Protest, stockpile guns, food, or play video games, get drunk, have sex, and pretend to not have a clue. Then, at last, even with all hope pretty much lost, cocky at class, who's this goofy-looking dude sporting a cross on top of an American flag? Well, our drug-dealing Prince Charming had just a few words to say about that. Hey, buddy, that's offensive. Really? Does it offend you that Jesus died for your sins? And from there, simple invitations had our guy finding himself high at a Bible study, but paying pretty close attention regardless as what was once so far-fetched began making sense. In the Word, he saw himself, along with the true ways of this world, all in ways he had never before heard. And already politics and current events were starting to sound pretty parallel in the biblical department, noting the worldwide apostasy, the impending mark of the beast, and one world government. Meanwhile, in the very book of the same name of a band for which he once played bass. All coincidences, perhaps. Hey guys, so what's this about offering our bodies as a living sacrifice? For once, beyond his own understanding, he just began to look past. Heck yes, Morpheus, hand over that red pill, the truth, and nothing less, though not yet knowing what to make of this Jesus about now pro-Christian as anti the elitists. Just a matter of weeks. On his own, weighing the evidence, once so resistant to the path, now of least resistance, the idea pops into his head to simply say the name and mean it. Jesus. 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 Not long till he'd acknowledge his need for forgiveness and seek it. Then, on an otherwise mundane Monday, they met, and our godsend of a friend asks, "Have you accepted Christ?" His response, "Yes." And in that moment, just as he was found in the finding of all he ever wanted, it's the strangest thing. He was crucified on the spot. Yeah, he died. He died, and I was born to live as designed forevermore for